Let's learn about IELTS listening test sections. The IELTS listening test has 4 sections, each of which has a different context, content, speakers, and purpose. Generally speaking, the first 2 sections contain the easiest vocabulary and grammar, while the second 2 contain the hardest. The vocabulary and grammar in the 4th section are typically the most challenging. Each section of the IELTS listening test has 3 important features you need to understand in order to help you answer the questions. 1. How many people are speaking? 2. The context or background information, which explains who is speaking, why they are speaking, and what they are talking about. 3. Which question types the section always uses. Now let's look at section 4. How many people are speaking? Section 4 is always a monologue. Only one person is speaking. Context. Just like section 3, the context is academic. It's at a college or university. And this helps us remember who is speaking in this section. Most commonly, it's a professor giving a lecture on an academic topic. Sometimes, especially with the newer material in books like Cambridge Trainer 2 and IELTS 17 and the current test material, it's a student giving a presentation on an academic topic. Since the context is academic, the language and grammatical complexity are higher than in sections 1 and 2. You may hear some vocabulary which is specific to college and academic study. This may include some technical terms and other special vocabulary. Sentences will be longer and sentence structure will be more complex. This section is also different from the other 3 sections in these ways. 1. It is often quite long, sometimes up to 7 minutes long. 2. Unlike the other 3 sections, which first give you 30 seconds to preview the questions for the first part of the section, and then give you another 30 seconds to preview the questions for the second part of the section, Section 4 gives you 1 minute to preview all the questions before the listening exercise starts. 3. Unlike the other 3 sections, this section is not separated into 2 parts with a 30-second rest time in between. Instead, it's just one very long section, and the speaker will pause briefly for only around 5 seconds in the middle. 4. Very often, especially when the section only presents fill-in-the-gaps questions, there will be only a little information written on the page for you to read. Often the written information will be in the form of abbreviated sentences or even just dot point notes. As a result, very often you will find that the information written on the page doesn't include the words you are hearing or even the information you are listening to. This is intended to really test your listening skill instead of you just relying on reading the text and listening for the words in the gap. As a result, and also because this section can be quite long and it doesn't have a 30-second break in the middle, you can become tired and lose concentration. When this happens, it's easy to lose your place and fall behind the speaker. If you do lose your place on the page and you can't figure out which section of the information on the page the speaker is talking about, look for the subject headings on the page. They are words in bold which introduce each section. The speaker always mentions these words when moving from one section to the next, so when you hear these words, you will know the speaker is now talking about the information in that section on the page. Question types. Section 4 usually has 10 fill-in-the-gaps questions. Sometimes it can have multiple choice questions, so you might get a combination of fill-in-the-gaps and multiple choice questions, but usually it's just 10 fill-in-the-gaps questions. Preview and review time. At the end of this section, you are given another 1 minute to review your answers. You should do everything you can to find any mistakes you might have made. See the link in the video description for more information on this.